All right, guys. Let's kick it off. Basically, who's in? It's in. Who will join us later? They're more than welcome. Hello, everyone. I hope that you can hear us and see us correctly. And that would like to thank you first of all for giving us the time for this webinar. But we're going to talk about very specific moment on the market of web development. Together on the call with me, I have Josh, who's a developer advocate at Wix. And also we have here Chris as well. He's from Intelligent. These two guys and fine gentlemen will allow us to have a better insight on what's going on the market right now in terms of web development and actually to anticipate what could be the next step here. So I'm pretty sure that everybody are going to be really interested to hear about this topic. So I'm going to jump right through and give the title first of all to Josh to introduce himself briefly, and then Chris.
Thanks, Andrea. Thank you everybody for joining us today, and thank you DesignRush as well for coming together and putting this whole event together. So my name is Joshua Alphonse. I'm a developer advocate out of New York, working for Velo by Wix. So part of what we do is really get involved with our community, get feedback back to our product and R&D teams, and work alongside our developers to make sure that our community gets the best experience out of Velo. Yeah, definitely. That's where I was able to meet Chris, who's also been using Velo for a while now, and I'll give the mic over to him, and he can introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Josh, and thanks.
All right, cool. Thanks for that, Joshua. All right.
So
go ahead, Chris.
My background is that I work with a company called Intelligent. We are an advertising agency, which means that at the end of the day, what we're working to do is get an idea or concept out from the client's head to all of their customers. And so we are a full service advertising agency. We do video, we do graphics, we do ads, but of course we do websites as well as a way of getting that message out. So my responsibility is to lead the web development team so that we can continue to really please our clients, find a way to really get to their target market.
Okay. Thanks so much, Chris, for that. So basically, well, let's talk about basically what's going on the market right now. What I should tell you guys is that this is a research that DesignRush has elaborated on one of our articles that after COVID, obviously there's a big demand for web development. And basically, what we can tell you about this is that it's growing on demand, and being online presence is no longer an option. It's mandatory. It's a must. So we're going to talk about what are the, what is the thing that is happening in the for web development agencies, what the web development agencies are facing, and on the other side, what the users of those services are finding basically more than resourceful, challenging in this sort of a moment on the market where there's such a great demand. And by all means, I invite all of the participants, and I can see that people are joining in. If you have any questions regarding any of the topics that we're going to cover today, let's get them in the chat so that we can basically use Joshua and Chris to tell us some more on this. And since we got to the point of demand for custom web development, and let's talk about that first. And I would say that the best person to answer on this is Chris. Chris, can you just elaborate a little bit more? How's the demand going for custom web development, especially after COVID, and how's it compared to web builders?
All right, thanks again for the question, Andrea. So the industry of web development, and web development being defined as giving clients digital property that they own online so that they can interface with their customers. The industry itself has seen a crazy uptick since COVID had started. Just inside Intelligent alone, we're currently working on 2.5 times as many sites at the same time as we had in 2019 before COVID actually came up. And it's actually the reason we've had to actually hire more developers this month, just so we can manage that demand. What we realize is that the uptick can really be tracked back to the fact that people are now realizing, as you said, that they need a website. It's no longer an optional thing for big business, because COVID has taught them indirectly that if their customers can't come into their store, then their store needs to close. If their store needs to close, then it means that they can't feed their staff or they can't pay their staff. So it's no longer a matter of having a website just to show people. It's now become a matter of putting food on the table. And once that really got to person's minds, they realized that having a website now is a mandatory thing for business. It's no longer fine to just be content with the website that your cousin or sister Sue made for you. It's actually time now for you to invest in something that can actually extend your business, be another arm of your business that works 24/7.
All right, Chris. So thanks for that. And it's very interesting for this to be mentioned. But we are seeing, a lot of businesses, like you said it yourself, are shifting towards online to go digital. Can you just, of course, you tell us, do you have any specific industries that are, rising up for the challenge? Chris can also step in. Just we want to see what's the market behavior and needs for web development services, and do you think that it will, evolve it even more if it makes sense?
So
Chris or
yeah,
Josh?
from an industry perspective, and I just want to make sure that you're hearing me clearly as well. From an
Yeah.
industry perspective, what we've seen is that it's not tied down to any specific industry. So whether you're in food or restaurants and bars, or if you're in healthcare, right now everyone has to go online. There hasn't been a very specific uptick in one industry. Now, the features that clients are actually asking us for, it's between things like blogs, CMS systems, being able to deliver courses online, e-commerce, of course, and even online groups. But we realize that those are just symptoms of what they're actually asking for. The root cause is that they just need a way to interface with their clients remotely. That is the core of everything that they're trying to achieve. I'll give you a real example. We have a company that we're building a website for that's in the industry of insurance. They sell insurance. Now, if you're familiar with the sales of
Okay.
insurance, you know that these persons actually have to go and sit down with someone, meet with them at their office, maybe even take them out to lunch. But COVID has put a wedge in every single one of those things. And so now what we've added for
Yes.
them is a way for them to take those bookings online.
Nice.
That's very interesting. Well, that's very interesting for everybody to hear, especially with this lockdowns all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just now talk about
I
what's
also like to
rising
add
in
to
the
that a bit though too as well, if you
yeah,
don't
yeah, of
mind.
course.
So
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So, and to add to what Chris was saying about, people seeing this emergence of going digitally, right, within this past year, especially because of this pandemic. It's not only just like Chris said, your sister Sue looking to start their business online. It's even for existing businesses that are looking for a different shift in what they're doing day to day and how they're actually building these solutions for their customers and so forth. Like I definitely see in terms of an emerging trend, there's going to be, you can already see it with all these web builders and other platforms, that there's a newer generation of developers or just development lifecycle overall that's coming up. And it's also like a big demand for customized solutions that address these niche pain points or these niche requests that I'm sure Chris gets a lot. Um, and they want to be able to automate specific tasks and be able to handle all the competing responsibilities that they have all in one in-house as they're developing these solutions for their customers, but want to do this at scale and get their product out as fast as they can. So you're definitely seeing a lot of these agencies and even freelance developers looking for solutions and platforms to get things done a lot faster and easier within all in-house into one tool itself instead of spreading it out amongst many.
That's an interesting observation, Josh, from your perspective as well. And thanks again for the first part that Chris mentioned. So just to pause a little bit and to inform our participants and audience that we are going to launch the first poll. So if everybody can take a second so that you can let us know about the poll itself and what's the most interesting topic for you regarding this what we're covering today. Thanks for everyone who answered, and let's get going. Basically, we have seen the rising trends, so we have seen what's going on the market right now. All right, let's just talk about we have a product out there, and that's could be helping with this solution, and it's Velo. It's formerly known as COVID. And Joshua, since you're part of the team, can you just give us a quick overview what Velo is?
Sure, absolutely. So Velo is a platform that works right on top of Wix that allows JavaScript developers to get full stack development functionality on their Wix site. So traditionally, Wix is a drag and drop editor, a DIY editor that you're able to create your own website, sort of like PowerPoint in a way. But now with Velo by Wix, you're able to then add JavaScript right on top of it, working on the front end or the back end to add more complexity to your site. So I can definitely show you what that workspace looks like, and also, how to get started with it as well, really briefly, and show what an example site. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Chris. Sorry, Josh. Yeah, go ahead with this. I think that everybody are looking to see this thing in action.
Yeah, absolutely. So this right here is just an example website for a bird adoption website where you can just go and choose your different bird that you want to adopt. And Velo by Wix has lots of features that are also combining with the same features that you do have on Wix. So this is just another one of the big business values when using Velo by Wix is that you can get a combination of all those other tools like the content manager or even Wix data as well, because that allows business owners to still work alongside developers where they can manage their content very easily within a database without interfering with what the developer is doing. So here is actually what the editor looks like. And this is just the traditional Wix editor. And to get started, you just go to the top and you turn on dev mode. So you can add your own JavaScript code, connect to business tools, external and internal to Wix. There's lots of APIs to install and also to use that we have built in, and it requires zero setup. So once you turn on dev mode, you're ready to go, and you get your own IDE at the bottom where you can write your code. You even have a section here for all your main pages, for all your code that you have here, even to edit your backend code. You can see here on the backend files as well. You can create within the IDE your own backend functions as well that you can export to your front end and work back and forth. So think of Velo as a full stack development utility belt or a suite in a way that you're able to enhance and pick up your development velocity by using this with a combination of Wix. So there's so many features to dive into, either like creating your own API, scheduler jobs, Velo, installing NPM packages, and so forth, and working with databases. And this gives opportunity for business owners and developers to work alongside one another and still be able to translate and transcribe what they're doing very seamlessly. And that's pretty much Velo in a nutshell.
Okay.
I definitely encourage you to go check it out.
Okay, that seems very interesting, Josh. Can you just give us a comparison so that for everybody listening here? Let's just give them another angle. What's Velo offering here that different from what is already on the market, and how can actually the brands, this is something that Chris can, jump in later on, of course, from his side of the story. What's this different from the other website builders that people are familiar with, such as WordPress and the other ones? If you could elaborate this more, and after that, of course, how can Chris can elaborate from the agency side of the story? Go
Yeah.
ahead, Josh.
So, and I can actually start it off, and it would transition actually pretty well to Chris is familiar with all of these things, and he's using Velo for a long time. But I also have something to help him transition into his side of the conversation as well. So I think, as I just mentioned, one of the things that actually brings a lot of business value to Velo is the combination of all the in-house tools that we already have available with Wix. Either if it's Wix Data, the content manager, you're able to still not be a developer and still be able to put together your website with no code and low code solutions. That's where, again, the content manager comes into play. And it's really easy for you to add your different content, videos, different files into your collection, and then you're able to display them on the site without having to code at all. That being said, on the agency side of things, as well, is that the Wix platform provides a complete digital ecosystem for creating and managing and growing your business online. So you also have the freedom to design and custom code throughout your website with combination of Velo, but you also do get access as you go forward with Wix with our partners program that Chris is part of, where you can actually get a dedicated account manager and lots of different benefits as you're growing your business online with Wix in combination with Velo.
Yeah, thanks, Josh, for that. I think it will be useful for the agencies to know that that somebody will have their back during the whole process. Chris, if you can elaborate more, your side of the story is more than welcome in this part.
Yeah, no problem. I'd love to. So we actually do have among us at the company experience using other platforms like WordPress, like Weebly to an extent, Shopify, a little bit of Squarespace. But we actually decided a couple years ago that we are going to stick to Wix for almost everything because of how customizable it was. So the big benefit for us is that if we tried to do what we do on Wix by ourselves, we'd actually need a team of about 3 to 5 people to do the same thing one person can do. Because when you hit publish on your site, what you're not realizing is that the button that says publish on Wix is doing so much. It's deploying it to a server, it's setting up your SSL certificate, it's making sure that you are protected from attacks, DDoS attacks. That's why you'll see 89% of WordPress sites have been hacked and 0% of Wix sites have been hacked. Because there's so much going on in the background that we don't have to worry about because we use Wix. Another thing that really stands out to us is that you can get started with Velo for free. You can start with a free site and just hit turn on dev mode, and you can play around with it until it works. And then when you're ready to go live, then you can actually pay for your site to go live. So it's not like you have to pay to get in a sandbox and actually try your code. That's one of the big things for us because not everything we write works. And so that we're working on something and paying for the time to work on it, but not actually getting it to work, or we have to abandon it for whatever reason, that is given to us for free on Velo. And then, like Josh said, the support. I mean, he can't toot his own horn because that would be weird, but I'm gonna toot it for the Wix team. When you have an issue with Velo, there are so many resources for you to get solutions. You can go on the forum, which is online. You can ask somebody else who has the same issue with you. And you're never surprised when the Wix team actually comes in and answers the question for you, which is very unique for a company that is closed source, that manages its own infrastructure and everything. You actually have people supporting you, and you can get a response within 24 hours, which is very unlike almost any other platform. So those are some of the main areas that Velo
Yeah.
stands out to us because
That's
you can play with it.
Yeah. And still use all the same
that's
features that you have with Wix for the most part. And it's like it's a match made in heaven.
that's guys really good insight. I'm feeling like this could be one of the ways in future that could be used on an everyday basis and make everybody's life easier here. And not just to talk about, being cost effective and the resources as well. If you're gonna have your back by Wix and the support and everything, yeah, and especially if it's for free for you to test it out. I mean, what better way to get you going than that? All right, guys. We have seen the examples. We have seen basically everything that you put up so far. It's been very interesting, and I think the participants are more than happy so far what we have established here on this webinar so far. However, I kind of sense that there's still some, hesitation, especially from the web development agencies regarding the web builders and web apps. Now, they are basically claiming that it's a limited capability that's holding them back and not sure what they can actually do with it. We scratched a bit on the surface on this topic, but I think that we could, just give them a little bit more insight on all of this. Chris, if you would do us the honor, you can just tell us a little bit more. Uh, what's the main thing that you're doing now that, for example, you couldn't have done let's say 3 years ago? What's the new thing that is helping you, achieve your daily tasks and goals?
Okay. So, when it comes to 3 years ago, it's important to actually state that I did not believe in Wix at all. It was actually my CEO who came to me and said, we're going to be using Wix. And I was like, but Wix is not powerful enough to do what we need to do. And he said, give it a try. And it was about the same time when Wix Code had been launched, which was the precursor to Corvid, which came before Velo. So the same thing. And it was actually Wix Code that allowed us to launch one of our first client sites with some custom animation that everybody loved. And it was just some minor things like being able to hover, being able to change the color once you're hovering. All of that was done in Wix Code. And since then, we've used it for many sites, many, many sites, because of that ability to just customize it. So for us, the
Okay.
main thing that allowed us to use Wix or continue to use Wix was the ability to build on top of. And I know that there are still agencies out there, up to today, who, when we show them our work, it's always the same phrase. Wix can do that.
Okay. Well, if you can show us on one more example, it would be, I mean, awesome for everyone.
No problem. So I'm going to share the same example I had mentioned earlier for this insurance advisor website.
Okay, go ahead.
Make sure it comes up. All right. So this is basically the way that advisors are going to be found by their clients. Right now, the advisors have the problem that they can't actually go to their clients and meet them as they used to be able to. And so what we built for this company is a way for them to receive those bookings online, but also to be found. And it's very important that they're found based on their qualifications because you want to know who's high quality versus who's not. So I saw someone in the chat asking about JavaScript. I know we're going to talk about it, but this page has been completely customized using Velo. You can actually filter by the location of the person. You can filter by their qualifications, and it's fast. All the animations on a more technical side, all the tweening that you're seeing is actually done by Velo, done by Wix, I should say. And it really allows people to be found. And then once you go inside each of their profile, because we said, let's give them their own LinkedIn on the site, then you have the ability to book an appointment with them, contact them via email, all through Wix. Why that's important for us is it means we don't have to jump on AWS to manage one thing and MailChimp to manage another thing and Namecheap to manage another thing. All of it can be done by Wix. And it gives us peace of mind because it allows us to be creative. If you're not spending time focused solely on deployment, then you have the opportunity to just really focus on design. So that's one of the
Mhm.
real reasons that Wix stands out to us.
Okay, okay. I would like to hear also, Josh's side of the story regarding the friend of all topic about web development agencies having, hard time using web apps. Can you just, we have seen on the live example here with Chris how this helped, especially in these times when people cannot physically meet with each other. Um, can you just give us an elaboration? We can just go again back, let's say, 3 years ago to see what changed and what's going on right now.
Yep. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, and 3 years in technology goes by like that. There's always something new coming out every day, every week. Something happening. So something that happened 3 years ago could definitely be in the past, or if it was made 3 years ago, you're going to see a huge jump and enhancement. You've definitely seen it with this platform as well, and many others to come with it. And you've seen from 2020 how we've had this pivot to, I guess, this sort of new normal where people are working from home and projects are becoming a lot more mission critical. And you have to deploy these remote workforces in different ways and scale out your infrastructures. But now with web builders, you've definitely even seen with Velo and even the others that are competitors as well, is that they're focusing a lot on full stack development and adding more complexity and allowing people to become more of like citizen developers of a type where not you could be part of the development process either if you know how to code or not, but because of these no code and low code solutions and that combination, everyone can be part of what's being built, and that means everybody can win, and you'll get more out of that product if you can combine as many people on your team, either if they're uh, with business strategy, they're a product manager, they're a developer. This allows everyone to be part of this process to get something done really fast. Um, and on top of that, I think friend or foe, I think as the years go by, people are going to see that web builders are way more friend than foe, even if you're one of the most advanced developers. Developers are definitely always concerned about getting the best product out, but it's also about timing as well. So these web builders really uh, help you mitigate the timing and also let you get your product to market a lot faster. And all the other tweaks and complexities can also be added on later on in the time, or you can get it jump started right away.
Okay, okay, thanks for that, Josh. Also, one interesting thing that people will like to know, I'm guessing about, of course, about the whole deal is, well, how does it work? Maybe for the SEO purposes, because we all know that it's probably very important for the businesses, of course, to have a user-friendly website with a lot of functionality, but also what does it actually do in terms of SEO? How does it help on that field as well? If you have from the technical side of the story, of course, some background to share with the participants, I think it's also very interesting for them to hear.
So from our side, we had heard rumors that SEO would be an issue, and we'd never seen it because every time we launch a site, it ranks, and it either ranks top of the page, or we've actually had it so top of the page that persons in other countries were finding the jobs page on a website that they couldn't even apply for because it was in a different country. So Wix has taken SEO very seriously, as we can see from the results, not just from marketing, and we are benefiting from it greatly. It does help, of course, if you have strategy, and that's why even in using a web builder, there's always going to be a layer, whether it's custom code or whether it's having an SEO strategy that you need to consider reaching out to an expert to help you with. There will always be another layer to help you get to a new level of productivity with your website. but SEO has always been a good. We've had good results with Wix SEO.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris, for that. Uh, Josh, would you like to elaborate on this as well?
Sure. No, and to I definitely can agree with what Chris said. And another thing to add as well, just kind of back to this recurring theme, everything that you need to get started, either if it's a full stack development project that you're trying to build a web app with, or just a website where you're not even using Velo, um, SEO is already built in to the platform. You don't have to go anywhere else to search for it. The tools are right there for you, and you can combine them with all the different products we have available with Wix and Velo. So, it's a seamless process, and it's all about velocity here, which is the meaning behind the name.
All right. All right. That's more than interesting, especially these days. Like I said, it's not just having a great website, but it's also getting it shown out there. And it's a boost in your, wind in your sails, basically, if you have that already taken care of. SEO is a huge part of each strategy, I'm sure, when it comes to online businesses. Thanks for the answers about this, guys. Just to information from everybody who is with us. We're jumping on the last chapter, so now would be the perfect time if you have some additional questions, shoot them out in the chat so that we can, get Chris and Josh busy here so that they can cover everything. And the last chapter, guys, it's, well, what would be the best advice that you could give? How to stay relevant, how to, thrive in the future. And Chris, you might want to give us your side of the story.
No problem. So, based on our couple years of development, I just have one piece of advice, and that is while it's important for a web development agency or any agency that's dealing with clients to stay up to date with trends, I think the most important thing for every agency is to understand the tool for the job. There are tools that are fit for purpose, and you need to know each tool deeply enough to say that you can use this tool in this area to solve this problem, rather than trying to apply the only thing you know to solve everything. I know we had a job applicant the other day who he came in and he wanted basically to change our organization. So every question that we asked him, he said, "Well, have you considered a PWA?" And literally everything. He even came and said, "Did you guys decide if you're going to use a PWA for your own website?" And I was laughing, but I realized that if the only thing is a hammer, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then everything around you starts to look like a nail. And that's why it's important for you to know what tools are good for what purposes. Now, Wix is like a Swiss Army knife, so you can use it for many purposes. But understanding a product deeply will be what sets any agency apart in solving the problems for their customers.
Definitely like to add to that too. It's like um, I I couldn't have said it any better. I think that was like spot on, Chris. And you want I think that one of the best things in terms of advice is to don't lose focus, obviously, on what the mission is at hand. There's so many, especially with technology, there's so many shiny things to go pick up and add to your project that you would love to have. But again, I think even with web builders, they still give you the ability to have those shiny things, but you can meticulously put together your site the way you want to, because what you see is what you get, and you don't necessarily have to guess as to what you're building as you're building it out. And I think that's a huge benefit, especially for a JavaScript developer that's looking to build out projects very fast. And it doesn't allow you to like it doesn't allow you to be unfocused on what the mission is at hand. And you'll be able to get things done. And there's lots of documentation, examples and whatnot to look at. But again, just agreeing with Chris, stay up with trends. and keep up with your skills. Even if you're not a developer, it's still a good way to understand the language, understand where a developer would be coming from and how to work together with one, especially in these times now where you're not in the office and you're picking up different types of responsibilities right now when you're working with your teams remotely. So it's a good idea to immerse yourself in that world if you can.
All right. All right. I think that that's more than more than interesting for everyone to hear and keep their focus on. Now, just for the participants, we have another poll for you guys. So get ready those fingers so that you can click. It would be nice to have all of your votes on what are the main challenges that you're experiencing on your custom web development projects. If you could give us your answers so that Chris and Josh can elaborate a little bit more, and afterwards we can definitely talk about the other questions that you guys have. Chris and Josh, I see the poll, and the first thing that participants pointed out for the challenge of custom web development project, well, you would have never guessed it, but it's timeline and estimations. So can you just give us your side of the story, and after that, it's unexpected cost as well. So I think that this goes for Chris most likely because you can tell us directly from from the field if it makes sense.
Absolutely, and we definitely face those same problems. I remember reading recently that as soon as you shake hands with your client and you've agreed on the project, you're already over budget and behind schedule. So that is definitely an issue that we face. But we have had very good success again with Wix because we actually had a client pop up out of nowhere, like literally on say a Thursday, and they needed something for the Friday. And because of the speed to market with using Wix and because of our internal team, we were able to actually put up a website in one day. And that is a case study that we shared because of how amazing it was. We had one person working on graphics, one person working on the layout and the design, and I think another person was looking for photos for the site. But because of the Wix platform that we used and the skill that we had, we were able to put it out in one day, and it was a good site. It really looked good, and the client was actually very happy with it. Now, a one-day website outside of that is very hard to imagine. With an SSL certificate, with security installed, connected to a database, all of that is hard to imagine. In the alternative, where we'd need a team of persons working, burning the midnight oil. So, in terms of timeline and estimation, we know that Wix has cut down the timelines that we would have had if we tried to go another route.
Okay, okay. Well, thanks, Chris, for that, for those answers. They're relevant. And let's talk about, let's see what Josh thinks about these topics. Timeline and estimation and unexpected costs.
Mhm. So I think this all can also tie into a bit of about the JavaScript behind Velo and what the platform has to offer in terms of that language, supporting that language. When it comes to timeline and estimations, I can't speak as much in terms of the agencies as much as Chris can in his experience. But what I can say from in terms of using Wix as a resource, either if it's from the Velo team or not, we do provide the resources in terms of our community where it comes from our forum that's really active with community members and also employees from Wix. Even with our certified developers as well, we have a Discord server where we communicate and collaborate with one another and introduce them to product and R&D teams as well. So that being said, the resources are there for you to help you reach those timelines and estimations. Like, let's say you're stuck on a problem and you need to figure that out. There's always someone there that can at least point you in the right direction when it comes to JavaScript. And Velo overall isn't necessarily a new language or a new framework when working with JavaScript. So the syntax is pretty much the same when you're using JavaScript. So those skills that you have from either vanilla JavaScript, React, Vue, Servlet, all those other types of frameworks that are coming with web development, you can still transfer those skills over, either if it's the client side or the server side, really easily. So there's not really much of a learning curve. I think most of the learning curve that comes from when you want to use Velo and Wix really comes from just familiarizing yourself with the platform, where certain things are, where to find them, how you can find those resources to ask when you're trying to reach those timelines and estimations, and just being able to communicate that. And that's like a really powerful thing that adds into like what the JavaScript and overall what the platform has to offer.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Josh. Now I'm happy to see the very good amount of questions that we need to cover, guys. So let's jump to those as well. Omar asked, if I'm not mistaken, about JavaScript. I think this is mainly for you, Josh. Of course, Chris, you can elaborate on this as well. What's the thing? We need basic skills with Java, if I'm not mistaken.
So with JavaScript, pretty much like as I just mentioned, with JavaScript, those skills are still transferable from any other platform, or if you're just or framework or just regular vanilla JavaScript, those skills are still there that you can use. I mean, there's really not much of a difference really with in terms of syntax, especially on the server side. We have an API called $W that allows you to select different elements on the page because there's no HTML or CSS. But that also is a plus on our end because that allows you to accelerate or actually increase the velocity behind your development. So when it comes to JavaScript, you can be anywhere from beginner to advanced, and there's lots of examples that we do have on our site to show those beginner and advanced examples that you can also add to your website, either if it's showing and hiding an element or connecting or integrating your web application with Twilio to send text messages. There's lots of different options when it comes to using the JavaScript, and I don't think it like when you see the editor and the IDE and all the different options that are there as a web developer, I don't think there's going to be many surprises when you show up, or at least of how to get started.
Okay, Josh. Well, thanks for this. I hope that Omar, this answers your question. I see that other participants are, asking what's the difference between, WordPress and Velo, and in terms of, how scalable it is actually, and also if you could, this is more integrations that we're talking about right now. If you can, integrate maybe the templates that you have on an already existing WordPress site, can you, transfer it to Velo? And can you elaborate, guys, on this more? Either Josh or Chris, whoever.
Sure. Unfortunately, you won't be able to bring those templates over from WordPress, but that being said, Wix has thousands of templates to choose from, beautiful templates depending on the type of industry that you're building the website for, either if it's for, I don't know, an e-commerce store for plants, or even a website for the upcoming gaming competition or something like that. There's lots of different templates to choose from, and you can even choose from blank, and you have the ability to create a custom design however you'd like with lots of our UI elements, and even custom elements as well. So you may not be able to bring over those templates from WordPress, but that still gives you the opportunity to be even more creative when you're on Wix, because you're not really losing out on any of those things. There's so many templates, and there's lots of ways for you to create your own look.
All right, so it's full customization that we're looking at basically. And thanks for this, Josh. This is a question for Chris, and it's about, I think Emma asked us about, she said that templated WordPress sites, for an example, are a nightmare to scale. So, Chris, if you can elaborate on this so that the participants can hear us out, it would be awesome.
Absolutely. So, in terms of skill, I'm going to touch it from design as well as users. In terms of your design, Wix has a very powerful feature, probably one of the most used features called dynamic pages, where instead of having to create one page at a time and then realizing 20 pages ago that you actually forgot to add an element, dynamic pages allow you to connect your page template to a database as large as you need. And I'm not talking about 100 people, I'm not talking about 500. Your database can have up to 50,000 rows. And that means 50,000 pages that you just have to design once. And it doesn't degrade the speed of your site massively, because you have optimizations going on in the background of Wix. Now, scalable in terms of visits, that is something that I've always been interested in. And you generally don't have to worry about your Wix site going down because Wix's sites are running on their servers and not your own. It means that it scales up as it needs to, and depending on the plan that you purchase, I've heard that you can have up to 1 million persons in 1 hour come on your site before there's any degradation, meaning like it slows
Well,
down, and that's no joke. So Wix is scalable in terms of design, and in terms of the infrastructure holding up your site. But one of the big things is that you don't have to be a developer to get started. Um, because Wix is there to help as many people get as far as possible as they can. Um, there is that ability to do those dynamic pages and have a very large site rests in the hands of everyone who clicks create Wix site.
okay, thanks so much
Nice.
for this, Chris. I see that Josh already explained about TypeScript, and sure, Emma, you
Yeah,
can thank Chris for this.
TypeScript is an interesting. It's an interesting topic. I would, I hear that every now and then as well. You definitely see TypeScript emerging and coming out the water. Lots and lots of people are using it. I believe that even our internal teams use TypeScript to, build out some of the products that we have here as well. But at the moment, we just support JavaScript and Node.js with Velo. But definitely ready to see what the future has in store for us.
Okay, okay, guys, we had really good questions, and I hope even better answers for them. Um, we're coming to an end of our webinar. I hope that everybody, appreciated what you guys had to deliver here and to provide in terms of both sides of the stories. And I would like to thank Joshua and Chris for participating here, for giving us their insights. I hope everybody find it very useful. Just wanted to thank also the participants who have joined us, and also to inform everybody that, of course, the recording of this whole webinar is going to be available on the DesignRush website the next day. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to shoot us out to either Joshua, Chris, or me. We're more than happy to, help out. So once again, thanks for everyone, especially you two guys. And if you have something to, address to the participants, it would be awesome as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrea, and also thank you, Chris and DesignRush as well for having this event and speaking. Definitely encourage you all to go and check out Velo by Wix on the official website and look at the examples in the showcase and see what developers are creating, just like Chris, all these great websites that they're creating really fast and getting them to market. Check out our website, our API reference, and any upcoming events that we do have. Lots of webinars and YouTube videos that we have in terms of educational things going on. So, and feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to
All right.
co-sign that. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for hosting and thank you for leading it so clearly. On our side, we just want to encourage all the agencies and the developers who are on the call to continue working towards delivering value. At the most, that should be what your focus is more than everything else. You may hear us talk very passionately about Wix, and it's because Wix has really solved a lot of problems for us, way more than it could ever create. And so it's something that we, like Josh said, encourage you to check out for yourself. But whatever platform you use, don't become a tribalist. Make sure that you are using the platform that makes sense and delivers value for you as well as for the clients that you're serving.
Okay, Chris. Thanks.
Well
Thanks
said.
once again. Well said indeed. Well said indeed. Thanks again, everyone. We're going to have more of this, topics that we're going to cover in the months to come. Thank you, everyone, once again, and I wish the rest of your day to be as productive as this webinar. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you. Bye-bye.